It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Here, welcome in TGIF. We made it. Finally Friday. It is the Get You to the Weekend edition of the Patrick Johnson Show. Big Hoops weekend ahead, and we're going to bring you everything you need to know about what that entails. We're also going to talk right now about the ECU game. Brian Mull will be with us next segment. We'll talk Pirates Gators, the fallout, and other basketball items and NCAA items with college basketball writer Brian Mull coming up in our next segment. But first we say hello to Philip the Ref Pilkington of 94.3 The Game and ECU Public Address fame. Pilk, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. It's Friday. A little disappointed there's no college or ECU athletics this weekend, but hey, there's a great weekend of college football, college basketball, pro football. It's going to be a fun weekend. How about you, Patrick?
Well, and I think it is probably welcomed by the ECU folks. You know, everything is going on. Congratulations to all the graduates. A lot of people in town this weekend for commencement exercises, the big ceremony this morning, and all the individual colleges going on now. That was I was a spring graduate, not a mid-year graduate. I knew a lot of people that ended up graduating mid-year, and those are always fun commencement exercises. You know, and I obviously the numbers are bigger in the spring because, you know, generally it's people finishing on an even year, like a 4 or 5 year. I even knew a few 6 or 7 year people, but it's one of those things. So, hey, just be a little extra patient. There are a lot of people in town this weekend that may otherwise not be here. Pirates drop a decision to the Florida Gators. 70-65 was the final from Lakeland, Florida, in that barn they played in down there. Pirates never led in the game. There were some crucial moments in the game. ECU had a chance to go ahead, miss some shots. Azar and Felton missing shots. Kind of a weird call with 45 seconds remaining. ECU down 2 instead of gaining possession. The ball went back to Florida, an unclear replay in which the ruling said that the ball went off of Felton's hair. Have you ever heard or seen of anything like that? Because to me, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I couldn't believe that was the call.
I think had they called it that on the court, I could understand it, but I didn't think there was any view that – there were some views that it looked close, but I didn't think it was indisputable. But, hey, you know, SEC refs, and they need to get their teams to the tournament. I'm losing a quad 3 game.
I am usually not the officials, but the Pirates got no calls in that. And we're going to hear something on Mike Swartz talk about that in some language. Now, look, the Pirate defense was hideous in the first half. Got a lot better in the second half. They got killed on the backboards. Out-rebounded by 19, 21 offensive rebounds surrendered. You can't do that, including a key one late. That kind of put the thing away. There was also the air ball. I had to go back and review this before the show. The air ball that was called a jump ball, a Florida air ball. I mean, just some awful calls in that. So, you can't cry over spilled milk, but I hope that there is some, whoever assigned the officials gets the film on it, let's just say, along with some hearty complaining. I'd be fine with that, personally. All right, this is our Pirate Report as we talk about the game. And we'll, of course, then get to Brian Mull coming up in the next segment. But right now, your Pirate Report.
And now, Patrick Johnson with today's Pirate Report on the flagship station of the ECU Pirates, 94.3 The Game.
All right. Let's take a look at, or take a listen to, Coach Swartz said there were 2 reasons why the Pirates lost the game, and they were pretty well interconnected.
We did not come out on top for two reasons. We just talked about the guys missed rim shots, whether that was in transition or in the half court. Unofficially, without right now having watched the film, and I can really look at it, I believe we were at somewhere between 9 and 10 shots at the rim. Look, I don't know if you go 9 out of 9 or 10 out of 10 on those, but you need to go 7 out of 9, 8 out of 10. You need to make 80% of your shots at the rim. And we had a couple in transition. We had a couple in the half court. I thought we executed our offensive game plan well to get the ball close to the rim. We didn't settle for a lot, and we tried to play in the paint. And, you got to put the ball in the basket when they get down there, particularly when they're uncontested or when they're in transition. Those are the ones you got to capitalize on. We only shot 12 free throws in the game. Maybe if you attack the rim with a little bit more ferocity around that basket, maybe you have a chance to get to the free throw line more. I don't know till I watch the tape. And then obviously the number, and it's the stat that will stick out, is 21 offensive rebounds, including the one that basically was the real backbreaker for us when Samuel got it late in the clock. We came out, we executed our late sideline out of bounds defense, forced them into a tough shot. We had a little bit of a miscommunication on that high pin-in screen that they set, so they got the shot off. Two of our guys didn't communicate on that as well, so they got a clean shot. I actually think we could have kept them from getting a clean shot off, but we don't rebound it, and Samuels put the ball in the basket and took it from a 2-point game to a 4-point game.
Yep, he, I think, summarized it very beautifully, that the Pirates got the shots at the rim, and they got the shots very close to the cylinder, but could not get it to go. And you can't get those opportunities against a team like Florida and or any team for that matter, and lose. Look, I mean, you've lost the last two games to certainly an NCAA tournament team in Florida and a much improved South Carolina team by a combined 11 points. One of on a neutral floor, one of them. So I mean, this is. The Pirates are coming. It's just you got to finish plays, and if you do that in conference season, you're going to be very successful. If you don't, you're going to see narrow defeats like you've seen the last two games. This is Mike on protecting the ball down low.
When you go and sometimes when you're trying to finish the ball above the rim with a dunk, I think everyone thinks it's more powerful, and it is, and it looks more powerful when it goes through. But the point is that you can't protect the ball when you go dunk the basketball. Yeah. The ball is exposed because you're stretching out. Where if you go for an attack, a powerful layup, you have your body to protect.
Exactly.
But when you want. And they made two great blocks. I'm sure I haven't had a chance to see them, but they, I think they were good blocks, and those were in transition. And I think the same goes for when you're attacking the rim in the half court. When you get a dump down or you got the ball 3-4 feet and in, you have to attack the square where you can attack the back, use the backboard,
exactly.
and you use the rim to prevent shot blocking. But if and so anyways, these are just things that, I know we'll continue to work on, but it's frustrating because that was the difference, the missed rim shots and offensive rebounds.
A couple more comments here from Coach Schwartz. He talked about the halftime adjustments the Pirates made.
Statistics say it. Clayton had 20 in the first half. We made an adjustment at halftime. I thought we did a better job. He had 2 points in the second half. So I thought you and I talked about it walking off the court that we needed to do something, and I thought we made that adjustment, and it obviously was effective for us from a defensive standpoint.
All right, and the Pirates or Mike Schwartz with what hurt the Pirates down the stretch.
These games are going to come down to a possession game. And again, very clearly, I just believe the shots that we didn't finish at the rim, and not being able to control the defensive glass, which is This is the number 6 offensive rebounding team in the country, so that's going to be a challenge. But those key ones, it was 2 on the free throw line, and there was obviously that last one by Samuels that really hurt us.
We're going to talk about the two-time transfer situation in general and Cam Hayes with Brian Mull coming up, but this is Coach Schwartz talking about it. Hayes actually played 25 minutes, played a lot more minutes than I thought he would last night, and you could tell he was rusty. I think Hayes will be a contributor to this team in an important way once he gets his sea legs under him. But this is Mike Schwartz talking about that whole process and the decision that Cam made to play in the game last night despite some murkiness from the NCAA.
Well, the truth is it's not our choice. This was Cam's choice. Cam wanted to play. We support Cam 100% either way. We put everything in front of him and his family, and between legal and everything. But this was Cam's choice. We were perfectly fine with Cam not playing, perfectly, just because of the uncertainty and everything. But I'll say this: 4 months ago, Cam began a waiver process on August 14th. I believe that was the exact date.
Yeah.
And tried to do it the right way, due process, and really give the NCAA and whatever the committees that were behind it the right way. Our university, our compliance, and Cam, the way in terms of everything cooperating. And to be left out in the cold and have no communication and be left out. So Cam, like any human being that other people are deciding your fate, wants to trust somebody. Yeah. And he was trying to trust the NCAA process for 4 months and had lost up to 10 games already. And with no answer, and his family can't get an answer, and continually. So you know what? He wants to trust someone, and he's trusting the federal judge.
Yep.
He's trusting that ruling. Because like any human being, when something is so important to you as this university and playing basketball and this life he has here, that he wants to trust somebody, and there's no way any student athlete should be in a position where they can't trust the process that is put forth by the governing body. And that let him down. And so he trusted the process of what came out 2 days ago, or yesterday.
Excellent points, salient points made there by Mike Schwartz. We'll get more on this and a lot more on the game from Brian Mull, college basketball writer. He'll be joining us. Let's take a timeout, and we'll come back with the Patrick Johnson Show. Get you to the weekend. Hoops edition.
Hurry into Greenville Toyota. We're giving thanks and making the season bright with low payments on new Camrys and RAV4s. Only $289 a month. Need credit? Get pre-qualified now with no effect on your credit score. Rush to Greenville Toyota.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
It's time to give thanks, and Greenville Toyota is making it happen with no payments for 3 months. Yes, we're thanking our customers with no payments till next year. That means extra money in your pocket, just in time for holiday shopping. Rush to Greenville Toyota.
Sometimes you just don't know if you want to kiss him or slap him.
Ow!
Either way, he'd probably like it. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Okay, we are back here. Brian Mull joins us from the Port City College Basketball Scribe at BG Mull on X. Hello, Brian Mull. How are you on this Friday?
I'm doing well, Patrick. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, all that to everyone. Hope everybody's got their shopping done like I haven't.
Yeah, well, nor have I. We're all in major trouble here. Hey, I'm sure. I think you heard a little bit of what Mike Swartz had to say, particularly about the Cam Hayes situation. And while that is the one that is close to home as far as the Pirates go, this is not a story that is that uncommon. And we are now in an area where there is a lot of gray area. Imagine that with the NCAA. We're in an area, a place where there's gray area here. So he's not the only story, and the whole thing continues to be kind of, from where I sit, absurd.
Well, it's a clown show, to put it bluntly. This news broke of the ruling in the court case a couple of nights ago, and within a couple of hours, a reporter was able to contact a spokesperson for the NCAA who said clearly that it would not affect a player's eligibility if he chose to play during these 2 weeks, primarily these two-time transfers. And then yesterday, less than 24 hours later, the opposite statement is issued from the governing body. And
that's what's so confusing.
This inconsistency is just consistent with what they have been over time. I think there was some hope that bringing in a politician, Charlie Baker, to be the president, that there would be a different form of operation, but they cannot seem to get out of their own way. And while they say everything is for the student athletes, in this case, it most certainly is not. They're the ones being punished. They're the ones being held in limbo. I've talked to several coaches who are in the same situation. These players are practicing. They've done everything just no differently than Cam Hayes. They followed all the procedures, and they cannot get a straight answer on what should be a pretty cut and dried situation.
What's interesting to me about this as well is in this 14-day window, they can play. Now, again, the NCAA's gone back on what they originally said. It's amazing that the person representing the organization wasn't giving an opinion. They were giving what they were told to say, and then it's a different 20. I mean, again, it's laughable at best. It's frustrating, but it's laughable. So I can't imagine, and you're not a lawyer. You're not going to play one on the radio. I'm a simple country bird lawyer, practicing bird law. But I'll just say I can't see the courts going back on this situation if there's already precedent, which is going to be guys are able to play for these 2 weeks.
Right. And frankly, in the big picture, I'm not in favor of the two-time transfer, unless there's super extenuating circumstances. But the cat's out of the yard, if you will. These players transferred with all understanding and intention that they would be able to play right away, and then the NCAA changed course. They just need to clarify and figure out what it is. I mean, I understand from the coaches and the institution's perspective that the multiple transfer situation can be very difficult as far as roster management. And, if you're a lower school, you get a guy on the rebound and then he has a great year, then he's off again. I mean, that's where maybe this whole thing's getting a little bit carried away, but there's no clarity. There's no straight line of communication from the NCAA. And here we are in the middle of the season. The semester's over. There's no excuse as far as that goes. And it's just, again, another example of one of the worst run organizations, not only in athletics, but just in general, that you could ever imagine.
but they make money, and that's I mean that's part of the deal. They make money. Hey, what's funny, just to follow up on your point, the last year and a half of doing games against sometimes some far off kind of schools of various size and various circumstance. I mean, you'll see players who are, I think we had one during the deal leading up to Thanksgiving in Greenville. He was on his fifth team in 5 years, or fifth, something like. I mean, it's fourth team in 5 years. I mean, there's always 2 or 3 players you're coming across in non-conference scheduling. It seems like that are part of part of that. How is what they're doing any different? Now I realize there might have been a JUCO sprinkled in there, and they were, transferred down to division. So, I mean, there's some of that going on. But, I mean, point is, people are playing on 3 or 4 teams in a 4 or 5 year span. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's happening all over. And I don't think that's good, honestly, for either the players or the schools. I feel the 1 year, the transfer and not having to sit out is perfect. It's great, but we just can't make it where it's 4 schools in 4 years. It's that's gotten carried away, and there just needs to be some clarity again and a firm rule so everybody knows they're operating. If you take someone who has already transferred, they're going to have to sit out a year. Both sides know that going in, as far as coach building his roster, as far as a player planning out his life. And that to me seems like an obvious way to handle it. But the NCAA just cannot seem to get to a simple, straightforward answer on much of anything.
The other thing, and I can't remember if we talked about this or not, but I just want to revisit it with you to kind of get your perspective. Well, one more thing on the 2-time transfer. I mean, right now in the here and now, what should be decided? Because this is the sport where the 2-time transfer is really prevalent in basketball. So how, right now, this moment, or coming up on the 27th, how should this thing be adjudicated? In your opinion?
They should all be able to play for the remaining games in this year. Anyone who's on campus, who's enrolled at school, who's a part of the team, who has fulfilled everything that they thought that they had to fulfill, they should be eligible to play in games, no doubt about it. And then if the NCAA wants to come up with some better answer or solution in the off season, preferably early, going into effect for the 24-25 season, fine and well. But all of the players who are on campus, and there's several dozen, and a lot of impact guys sitting out across the country. Those guys should be able to play basketball. We're at a good point where it's just they can be integrated into the rotation easily. Not as many games going on now, a lot more practice time over the next week or two as we ramp up the conference. And it just makes perfect sense to just issue a 2-sentence statement. They're all eligible.
Boom. All right, Brian Mull with us here. Follow him at BG Mull on X. He covers college basketball for various outlets. Let's talk a little bit about this subdivision. John Gilbert this week, at the beginning of the week, said on the Hoist the Colors radio program that he thinks 30 at most 40 schools will be able to participate in this, where the college, on the hook for a minimum of $6.5 million annually, is able to pay players directly. This obviously has Title IX implications. This obviously, I think, has some legal implications, as John noted, from the football and men's basketball world, because those players are going to want their fair share of any kind of TV revenue, and that does not include giving it to sports that, I mean, let's just be honest, don't make a nickel in TV revenue. They may be included for inventory, but they're not contributing to that big dollar price tag. So I think this is fraught with peril. With all of that said, Mull, is this the best thing in your opinion? Never mind the football perspective. We've got that from every angle imaginable the last 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it is. From a basketball perspective, I can't see this being a good thing.
Not at all. While I have on the record said that 362 teams in Division I is entirely too many, at the same time whittling it down to 30 or 40 who are operating on a completely different financial model just doesn't make sense or sound equitable to me as well. I think we've all kind of looked at football independently for a long time, and that's fine. And it's the biggest cash cow in the room, because really outside of the basketball tournament, the in-season games just aren't able to draw the same amount of advertising dollars based on the ratings. But that I don't see where that would be good at any level. I mean, if the bottom 100, broke off into their own division and were no longer eligible for March Madness, that would be disappointing, but it wouldn't be the end of the world, and it would probably be a more competitive structure going forward. But to separate 30 or 40 on the top end, that doesn't sit well with me at all from a basketball perspective, which is a completely different sport. You only need a couple of difference makers. It's not like you've got to have two deeps at the offensive and defensive lines to be competitive with the top teams.
Here's what, and this is some of the NCAA's doing when it comes to basketball as well, their own doing. They have let everybody that wants to be Division I in basketball basically be Division I in basketball. I mean, there are institutions from a facility standpoint, from a budgetary standpoint, from a however you want to name it, have no business being a Division I place at all in basketball. No business.
There's programs that have moved up in recent years who weren't even that successful at the previous level. It's not like they were consistent perennial champions of their conference or their region and NCAA tournament qualifiers at a lower level. And now they're in Division I, and it's just in name only. It's like the guy who turns pro in golf just because he walks up to the tournament and says, I want to be a professional. That's kind of where we're at with it. And, there's no league in the world. I could be proven otherwise. There may be some cricket league in India or somewhere I'm unaware of, but that has 360 teams competing for one championship. I mean, it's just an unwieldy number. And, as you said, the NCAA has allowed it and allowed it and allowed it. And we've seen it, both of us, with, our coverage, that it's almost, they're just operating with a completely different model when you look at the bottom tier.
All right, Brian Mull's with us. We're going to hold him through the break here. Philip the Ref Pilkington right now with a 94-3 The Game sports update and Pirate report. Then we'll break down the game from last night with Mull, and we'll also take a look at some of the action this weekend. All of that after you hear this from the Ref.
Thanks, P-Man. Starting with Pirate Athletics. Last night, the Pirates fell 70-65 to the Gators of Florida. Coach Schwartz says, despite being disappointed with the loss, he was pleased with the adjustments his team made at halftime and how they built on them in the second half.
The statistics say it. Clayton had 20 in the first half. We made an adjustment at halftime. I thought we did a better job. He had 2 points in the second half. So I thought you and I talked about it walking off the court, that we needed to do something, and I thought we made that adjustment, and it obviously was effective for us from a defensive standpoint.
The Pirates will be back in action on Wednesday when they host Delaware State. The game will tip at 7 o'clock. You can hear it right here on 94.3 The Game as part of the ECU Sports Network with network coverage starting at 6:30. Former Pirate running back Darius Penix Jr. has taken a job at Gardner-Webb to become their new running backs coach. And after suffering last night's suffocating loss, the Chargers have fired both head coach Brandon Staley and GM Tom Telesco. Staley had been with the team since 2021 and had a record of 24-24. Telesco had been with the team since 2013. Outside linebackers coach Griff Smith has been promoted to interim head coach for the remainder of the 2023 season. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. On the other side of this timeout, we will talk more college hoops with Brian Mull.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
I'm a big mood. You can't name a lot of things that I didn't do. It's like a paper, like a book, not a Kindle. You outdated, I'm the one they getting into, and I don't break a sweat. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Are you game day ready? Anson Belt, the official belt of ECU Athletics.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Hey, grab me one too.
Air service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
R&D Brewing is proud to partner with the ECU Pirates, and now you can enjoy Pirates Brew, the official craft beer of ECU Athletics. Pirates Brew is a carefully curated light beer that embodies the spirit of ECU, a refreshing and easy drinking light beer. Pirates Brew by R&D Brewing is available now at grocery stores, local retailers, and at ECU athletic events.
Head over to your favorite store and enjoy a nice Pirates Brew today, or else you'll walk the plank. Hand me another Pirates Brew. Arr.
We have you covered with all the ECU news and beyond that you need for the drive home. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back. Brian Mull joining us. Fall weekend ahead. Before we get into the schedule, let's talk a little bit about the ECU loss at Florida last night. Pirates had their chances. You know, it was interesting. It felt like a game that was not as close as the score would indicate for stretches, but it got competitive at the end. So East Carolina twice now has lost to SEC teams in back-to-back games where they had a chance to win the game late. So what can be taken from that?
Well, the margins are so thin in these games. I mean, these are two top 50 teams. I think Florida is certainly an NCAA tournament team. I think South Carolina will be hanging around the bubble until the end. Positive, East Carolina's defense. This is 4 good defensive outings in a row, which obviously Mike Schwartz was disgusted with their defense early in the year. They had some injuries. You just have to finish. I mean, Mike Schwartz nailed it in the comments he played before I came on. I mean, East Carolina got the ball to where they wanted to a number of times, and the height was really the difference in the game. When you look at the lineups for each side, Florida has a couple 3 inches on the ECU players at every position, from point guard through the 5, and that height and length and their ability to rotate in 3 really big front court guys, I think, was the difference in the basketball game. It was just very difficult for ECU to establish much of an inside presence, either on the drive or even in transition. And, one thing of concern, I'm just looking at Brandon Johnson's numbers, and I know, dealt with some injury and illness, but he shot 10 more threes than twos to this point in the season. And while it's great, he certainly turned himself into a terrific three-point shooter. They need more on the interior from him, especially as, it's obvious Mike wants to bring along these 2 freshmen at the 5, but you just can't expect a lot of production from them. You're going to get what you're going to get from Asar. He's been terrific, but Johnson needs to be a little more balanced and maybe hunt some 2-point shots, because the beauty of those 2-point shots is they often lead to free throws. And, it's not rocket science. If you're shooting balls around the rim and getting fouled and shooting free throws, you're giving yourself a very good chance to have an efficient offensive night.
Bobby Pettiford, a little shaken up at the end. Let's hope it's not anything severe. We'll see, but he's got to be healthy for them to have a chance. I don't know if there was some question. I don't know if I'd run him out there Wednesday against Delaware State, but obviously you need to have him ready when the calendar flips.
He is vital to East Carolina's success. He had a hard time keeping Clayton in front of him in the first half, but Clayton's a terrific player. They made some nice adjustments in the second half. Pettiford's not the greatest on-ball defender, but he does have quick hands. I think he ended up with 5 steals last night. And then what he gives you on the offensive end, he's just a calming presence. He's a point guard. He's got his head up. He's always looking to distribute the ball and get it to where it needs to be, get it to players where they can score. But then he is also capable of just going down the right side of the lane and scoring over a bigger man, again, drawing fouls. And, he has that ability, just innate, where he wants to have the ball in his hands late in games. So, you got to have that guy. We've talked about it a million times on and off air. Like in college basketball these days, you have to have a point guard who can go get you a bucket when things break down. And Pettiford, he's been a terrific addition. Let's hope he's healthy. And again, I would make sure that I did everything possible to make sure he was healthy for conference play.
I want to ask you a little bit about Cam Hayes. We've talked about the situation, but he played a lot more minutes than I thought he would last night. And what inevitably can he bring to this team that they need?
Well, I thought he settled for some threes last night. I mean, that's understandable. First game, it's, maybe easier just to fire up some shots than to go in there. But he's a 30% three-point shooter over his career. I mean, maybe you can see those numbers bump up a little bit now that he's at a slightly lower level of competition. But he's a slasher. He's an athlete. He's a guy who can get in the paint. And I think what he really does is solidify the depth on the perimeter. Not that, no offense to LeCount, who has given them some good minutes, but he's small and in conference play, a guy that can kind of be picked on the defensive end. So I think Hayes really gives Schwartz a nice, tight backcourt rotation, provides some depth where you feel really good about the perimeter. And now they just need these big guys beyond Johnson and Asar to step up as well, so that you don't drop off, because I see a pretty big drop off when either one of them is on the bench. Hayes he's a guy that will only get better. That'll probably be the worst game he has all year, and obviously Schwartz trusts him to play him that many minutes in his first game on the road.
All right, let's turn to some of the action going on. Tonight, such exciting matchups as St. Andrews, the Knights at North Carolina Central, although Lavelle Moton's going for the win to be the all-time win leader at Central, I believe there. Tusculum at East Tennessee State. How about that one? What else do we have? Bridgewater at Elon. We have Saginaw Valley State at Butler. All right, I'm kidding when I bring all this up. But the game tonight, if you're interested in watching some ball, to me, UConn Gonzaga, number 5, number 10. The game will be played out in Seattle at the Climate Pledge Arena. And to me, Brian, this is in a weekend full of great games on paper. This is one that looks like it could be really interesting. How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, this isn't an Elite Eight type of game. I don't think anybody would be stunned if we saw this in a regional final, maybe even a Sweet 16, depending on how the Zags go. I think UConn's going to win the game. I'm so impressed with them, just their toughness, their tenacity, the development of their big man. Tristan Newton is playing as well as any point guard in the country. Just absolutely rock solid veteran at that position, scoring, rebounding, assisting. And I just have concerns about this backcourt for Gonzaga. And certainly, they don't have Drew Timme to bail them out as he did so many times over the last several years. So I think, Zags keep it close for about 30, 35 minutes and UConn pulls away. And I'm really high on this UConn team. There's a lot to like.
We're talking college basketball. Big weekend ahead. Brian Mull joining us here. Follow him on X at BG Mull. The job that Penny Hardaway has done scheduling in the non-conference has really been fascinating. I mean, it's been fabulous, actually. Missouri, Michigan, they have played Arkansas and beat them. Played Villanova, played Ole Miss, VCU, A&M. They'll get Clemson and Virginia coming up, and Vanderbilt before they get a tune-up with Austin Peay before opening conference play. But Penny Hardaway's done an amazing job with the non-conference schedule, and I think the Tigers have proven that they are a really good tournament caliber team. They've been kind of hanging around the bubble the last couple of years. Does this schedule and the success against the schedule kind of put them in a position to maybe not be on the bubble, be firmly in?
They look like a tournament team to me. I think this is the best team he's had. I mean, he certainly had some more talented pieces maybe at times, but when you look at the experience and just the way these pieces fit together and their willingness, there just doesn't seem to be as much drama around this group. There's been some off-court things, but not really with the player who are participating. And when they get on the court, they seem to have a good mix. Penny was very clear in the preseason that the American losing Houston, losing Cincinnati, not quite as many opportunities perhaps at the top to get quad 1 wins, quad 2 wins. And he felt like it was very important to schedule aggressively. And Memphis has held up just fine. And I think if the committee has any sense whatsoever and Memphis can continue to produce some results, I think they'll be rewarded for scheduling so aggressively in the non-conference. I mean, you would think they're trying to become a member of the SEC with when you look at who they've played and unafraid to play anyone. And I think that this is a team that's doing everything it can to put itself in a great position to hear its name called on Selection Sunday.
All right, so they have number 13, Clemson tomorrow at the FedEx Forum. Who wins and why?
It's neutral site Saturday, Patrick. There's so many neutral site games tomorrow. I really like this Clemson team. They've shown me a lot going to Alabama and winning, and then be able to win a couple of games when they didn't shoot well. But that's going to be a tough environment, and I like Memphis there. I just think they can wear them down, maybe a little bit more depth and touch more athleticism. But this is maybe Brad Brownell's best team at the same time at Clemson. That should be a terrific game. And there's several others on the docket that are that could be previews of what we may see late in the tournament in March.
Number 1, Arizona at number 3, Purdue on Peacock tomorrow at 4:30.
That's unfortunate that it's on Peacock, but that's just the way it goes, I guess, these days. Look, Arizona's the best team in the country. Tommy Lloyd's record since he's been at Arizona is phenomenal. This is the most athletic team he's had. He's been committed to this style from day one, and Caleb Love is a star, and he showed that in flashes at Carolina. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out there the last year or so, but there is no doubt his talent is undeniable, and he has just embraced this opportunity. Read a great feature from John Fanta on him earlier this week, and this thought he was going to Michigan. That didn't work out. Arizona had a spot. He's all in. They've added some terrific front court pieces in the portal, and I don't know that they're going to win this game in Purdue's backyard tomorrow. It'll be a tough ask, but I am very bullish on the Wildcats going forward.
A couple 2 o'clock games. Skipped over these. Number 6, Baylor at Michigan State. Any chance the Spartans spring an upset at home?
Man, I don't know. The Spartans playing this game in Detroit, they just look terrible to me. I mean, I hate to say it. Like this, I keep waiting for it to click, but they can't shoot. Their offense is very predictable. They don't get on the glass like an Izzo team. Like I don't know. This is the game they need. It's huge for them, I think.
All right. Speaking of games that nobody will see, unfortunately, number 20 JMU at Hampton. I only bring this up because JMU is having a dynamite season.
Oh, the Dukes are terrific, undefeated. They're going to be favored for the foreseeable future. Some of those games by double digits. Mark Byington has done an incredible job reviving that program, which certainly had some success, but it's been many moons ago. He has a TJ Bickerstaff, who some ACC fans may remember from 2 very good years at Boston College. Has just a dynamic team. They play with a lot of freedom on offense, but they're very tenacious and aggressive on defense. And this is a team that I fully expect to, they've put themselves in position for at-large possibilities, but will be the favorite in the Sun Belt and will probably have 27, 28 wins, by the end of the regular season.
All right. Tomorrow afternoon at 5:30, it'll be from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. Second part of this doubleheader. Number 9, North Carolina. Number 14, Kentucky.
Yeah, interesting game. Kentucky, certainly one of the last times we saw them, they were losing to UNC Wilmington. Carolina's had some nice results up and down. I mean, there's no shame in losing the game versus UConn in New York City. Had a nice win at home over Tennessee. I think both these teams are still kind of figuring it out. Kentucky has been playing fast and with a pretty perimeter-oriented lineup, but now they've got a couple of their big guys back from injury, so it'll be interesting to see if the style there changes. I think the Kentucky fans, for the most part, have been happy with the way they're playing, more of a modern basketball game, pushing the ball, shooting threes, getting out in transition. Now it sounds like they may be going back to the double bigs and kind of the offense that has driven everybody crazy in the Big Blue Nation in recent years. So it will be interesting to see that. I do think Baycott has got to show up in these big games. I think if you look at Carolina, certainly a couple of the additions have been nice, but Baycott has struggled against these bigger front courts, and he's going to face another one, a couple of 3 7-footers tomorrow in Atlanta, and he's got to produce.
All right, I want to ask you about a trio of night games, really a team and 2 night games. Number 8, Creighton, tomorrow night at 8. Alabama. Can the Tide get it together on the road?
The Tide's got some defensive issues. I don't think enough was made. They brought in a couple of nice transfers, and we know they're going to push the ball and score, but the best teams that Nate Oates has had were very elite on the defensive end because of their size and length, and they don't really have that imposing front court that they had last year, just monsters around the basket. So I'm the last thing you want to do against a Creighton team that's coming off a disappointing performance at UNLV is not be able to defend, because they certainly have one of the most efficient offenses in the country. So if you like baskets, if you like pace, this should be a fun game to watch. It's a game that both teams need as far, they're both going to be tournament teams, but you want to build some confidence this time of the year, and you want to pad these quad 1 neutral games and road games, to give yourself an opportunity to get the best seed that you can as well.
I 2 teams I want to ask you about. Oklahoma, BYU. Now they're playing games they should win tomorrow. Green Bay at Oklahoma, Georgia State at BYU. But were we expecting them to be this good in the Big 12, at least in the pre-conference?
Yeah, I like watching BYU play. I watched their games with Arizona State and NC State earlier this year. I think they're a touch overrated in some of the metrics. I mean, they've just been shooting. They've been shooting the ball at an incredible clip, and it's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're going to be fine in the Big 12, but I think they're also going to take their lumps as teams take away their transition and are able to kind of manhandle them at times on the glass. Oklahoma has been a pleasant surprise. I mean, we all know Porter Moser for what he did at Loyola of Chicago. Hasn't really been able to get it going at Oklahoma yet, but it seems like now he's finally got the roster to his liking. And look, it takes a couple of years sometimes, in this world to get the roster that you want exactly right, and get guys that are bought in and want to be there, both feet on the boat. And I think Oklahoma is certainly headed in the right direction. I mean, the Big 12 is just going to be an absolute war every single night. I mean, when you look at not only who's in the league, but who's coming and will be playing their first conference games here in a couple of weeks.
And tomorrow night at 10 o'clock from San Antone, it is NC State and number 12 Tennessee. Can the Pack spring an upset of the Vols?
I got a lot of questions about this Wolfpack team. They look good. They look good against bad teams, but anytime they play against that quad one, that upper tier, they just don't. It's just a bunch of jump shots, and I just don't trust teams that are so reliant. And they have shot makers. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Kevin Keats always has guards who can create and make shots, but Tennessee's not going to allow them to just get to their spots. It's going to be a physical game. They're gonna push Burns around, try to frustrate him inside, and I don't. It'd be a pretty big upset, in my opinion. Tennessee's a fairly significant favorite, as they should be, and I think they'll handle their business.
Hey, Mull, great to talk to you. We'll get with you next week. We'll work it out.
Okay.
We'll get with you next week and talk some more ball. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks. Everybody have a great weekend.
The great Brian Mull on Twitter and X at BG Mull. You can follow him there for college basketball and golf musings. Back to wrap it up next.
Fifth Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous Fifth Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. Fifth Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
Tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You can't name a lot of things that I didn't do. Stacking paper like a book, not a Kindle. You outdated, I'm the one they getting into, and I don't break a sweat. Let's get it, 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 let's get it. Child, please, I don't need a towel, please.
Are you game day ready? Anson Belt, the official belt of ECU Athletics.
Are you ready for a digital hair color revolution? The Color Master Factory by Chi and LG. A masterpiece of innovation, unlimited color formulations, limitless possibilities. Long-lasting color. Chi.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back. It is Christmas time. Pilk, not quite the last weekend, but it's pretty darn close.
We can see it. And it's on the horizon.
I was out earlier today, And it's insane with the. But I mean, I guess today's kind of the last day of, the last day of people kind of pouring through. I mean, a lot of people wrap up the year today. Do you know that, Pilk?
People with a lot more vacation time than me.
Yeah. Let me see if that's right. No. Yeah, that's right. A lot of people might be wrapping up the year.
Hey, if you got 2 weeks vacation still after 11 and a half months, kudos to you.
I know. Save it and use it. Save it and use it. I used to be a master manipulator with my vacation time when I worked in Florida and at Curtis Media. I would manipulate my time very, very well.
You're a smart man. It's tough to do it when you work in media, especially on the holidays. They want everybody working then because nobody else is working. They're at home watching TV.
So they want everybody else to work. So, but I had a couple years there where I really was on a hell of a run. Thanks to Brian Mull for being with us. Great to talk to him today. Good stuff. If you missed the show, you can download the IBX Media app and revisit it anytime. Back Monday with more fun and frivolity. 7 a.m. on Talk of the Town. Some new news and big guests for that show, so tune in. 103.7, 96.3, and then here 5. Patrick Johnson show on 94.3. No coaches show, by the way, Monday, which, who knew? Phil the Rep Pilkington, enjoy your weekend. And we'll see everybody on Monday for the PJ show. And have a great and safe weekend, everybody.